Good evening. Welcome to today's class, students. Today we are talking about the preamble of the Constitution. We shall look upon the Constitution and its various aspects from the point of view of the preamble. So, what is the preamble? The preamble is the gist of the Constitution. This is the matter which we shall look upon in today's class. The preamble is the initial page of the Constitution. This tells us what the Constitution contains within it. It is one of the most important parts of the Constitution. It is a brief overview of what the Constitution talks about. So, what is the preamble? The preamble reads as "We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to ensure or secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this Constitution. So, this is the preamble that we are going to discuss today. The preamble has gone through amendments, the preamble has been debated upon, and also the preamble is a source of power. At the same time, it is not a source of authority. So, what do we mean by these? Let us go about these one by one. So, when we read the preamble, the first line of the preamble says that "We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved." So, what does it mean? It means that we, the people of India, have given this constitution to ourselves. No one else has given this constitution to us. Okay. So, what kind of constitution did we give to ourselves? The first letter here is that it is sovereign. Then we want the country to be a socialist country which is secular in nature. It should be democratic and a republic. So let us see these terms one by one. So, what are the four ingredients of the Constitution? The first ingredient of the Constitution is the source of authority. When we talk about the source of authority, what are we exactly talking about? This means that where does the preamble or the constitution get its power from? So, the source of authority is the people of India. Okay, that means the citizens of India themselves have given us this constitution. No one else has given this constitution to us apart from ourselves. So, the nature of Indian state is also described here in a very beautiful and precise way. The nature of the Indian state, what does it mean? It means what kind of government do we have? So, the government is sovereign, it is socialist, it is democratic, secular, and republican in nature. All these terms are extremely important to understand for UPSC and APSC exams. So we shall see them one by one in today's class. The next is what are the objectives of the preamble? The objectives of the preamble, as outlined by the founders of our constitution, is to provide the citizens with justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. So, through these, we shall find out that this constitution, which was adopted on 26 November 1949, what is its objectives going to be? It describes also what kind of government have we given to ourselves, and it also talks about the fact that we, the people of India, have given this constitution to ourselves. There is no one else who has given it to us. All right. Now, the first term here is sovereign. Okay, so what does the word sovereign signify? Sovereign means that India is neither a dominion nor a dependency. Now, what is a dominion? Dominion is a status. Okay, it is a status which means that a country is free to devise its own policies but under the governance of someone else. So you are under a foreign power. Okay, so India is not a dominion, which means that India is a sovereign country. The next is point is that we are neither a dependency. So dependency means that India is not dependent on any other country for two purposes. First is for its internal policies. Okay, so we can formulate our internal policies without being dependent on any other country. And second is we can form our external policies. So the external policies also can be determined by us by our own will and judgment, and no other foreign country can determine them for us. So this tells us that India is a sovereign state. Also, the membership of the Commonwealth does not compromise our sovereignty. So, what is the Commonwealth? The Commonwealth is a group of countries. Okay, the Commonwealth is a group of nations or countries. These nations were once upon a time under the British Empire. So after they got independence, they were clubbed together into an organization known as the Commonwealth of Countries. Now, Commonwealth of Countries does not mean that we are under Great Britain anymore. It is just a society for cooperation among these various countries, which was once bound together by the common history of being under British rule. So, today India is a member of the Commonwealth, but that does not mean that we are under British rule. And it also says that because we are sovereign, we can acquire or cede any part of our territory. So, what does it mean? It means that India is free to determine whether we want to acquire, that means get a new land which is outside the country and make it our own, or cede, that means if we want to give away any land that is part of India to any other country. This is often done while resolving border disputes. So, for example, the border dispute between India and Bangladesh was resolved by giving some land that was part of India to Bangladesh and taking some land from Bangladesh and making it part of India. So, this can be done only by a sovereign country. Next important word here is socialism. So, what is socialism? Socialism is of two types. First is democratic socialism, and then we have communistic socialism. In India, we follow democratic socialism and do not follow communistic socialism. So, socialism, which is democratic in nature, that is democratic socialism, it is a system which comprises of mixed economy. That means both the public as well as the private sector shall work hand in hand in this kind of a governance, which means that there will be business conducted both by the government as well as by private individuals. But in communistic socialism, it is a form of government where the entire assets of the nation is held only by the government and no private property is permitted. Here, public and private sectors, they are allowed to exist side by side. Okay, where in India, so in India you will find that the government is also part of the manufacturing processes, Also, in the same industry, you will find private enterprises. For example, let us talk about the communication enterprise. So, for example, we have BSNL, which is a government run telecommunication company, while at the same time, you have other private companies such as Airtel, Jio, etc. So, in our kind of socialism, democratic socialism means that both public and private sectors will exist side by side. So, this was envisioned by our founding fathers, and they had this vision that India should be a nation where both the government as well as private individuals can run their businesses together. So, Indian socialism is a mixture of Marxism and Gandhiism. Okay. However, we lean heavily towards Gandhiism. So, Marxism is a kind of socialism that was propagated by Karl Marx. Okay. So, this was propagated or given by Karl Marx. This is the kind of socialism that you find in communistic countries such as the Soviet Union. But in India, the socialism that we have adopted is more towards Gandhiism. That means the ideals that were given by Bapuji, okay, or Mahatma Gandhi. The next topic that we are going to discuss today is the important word, that is democratic. This is the next word in the preamble. This says that the India is a democratic country. So there are two types of democracies. The first is direct democracy and the second is indirect democracy. We in India follow indirect democracy. Okay? Direct democracy is followed in some other countries in Europe, which we shall discuss about later on. So what is the difference between direct and indirect democracy? So, in direct democracy, citizens are part of the decision making process. Okay, so citizens, they take part in decision making. Okay, however, in indirect democracy, citizens will only choose their representatives. Okay, that means in direct democracy, citizens are allowed to take part in the decision making process. So, if there is any bill that is debated upon in the parliament, citizens are also allowed to take part in that debate. But in indirect democracy, citizens are not allowed to do that. So, who takes part in that debate? Only the representatives chosen by those citizens will take part in the decision making process. So, let us try to understand this in a little more simpler way. So, in India, we choose our MLAs and our MPs. These MLAs and MPs, they go to the state assembly or to the parliament, and there they devise the laws, and these laws are implemented all over the nation or the state. Now, they are solely in charge of devising these laws. No citizen of the country takes part in the decision making process. However, in countries where direct democracy is practiced, citizens are asked their opinion on these important bills. But in India, citizens are not asked their opinion. So, there are four devices of direct democracy. These are referendum, initiative, recall, and plebiscite. So, these will be described in a later class in more detail. For now, let us just understand that these are different tools of direct democracies through which the citizens can exercise their right and let the government know what is their point of view on each kind of a bill. So, different bills require separate types of devices for approval from the citizens of that nation. These things we do not have in India. Okay, so these are not there in India. In India, we have indirect democracy. So, the trinity of democracy includes liberty, equality, and fraternity. So, liberty and equality and fraternity together, all these three make sure that democracy functions within any democratic country of the world. So, the next important term that we come across here is the word republic. So, what does republic mean? Republic means vesting the political sovereignty in the people. What does it mean now? So, countries which are republic mean that the head of the state, okay, so in India, that is the president. So, head of the state will be elected. Okay, he is not a hereditary head of state. So in India, the president of India, he will be president for 5 years. After that, there will be a re-election and a new president is chosen. But in other countries which may be democratic, such as Great Britain, so in UK, the the nation of UK is a democratic nation. However, the head of the state is not a elected position. So the head of the state in UK is occupied by the Queen of UK, okay, or the Queen of Britain, and the Queen's position is a hereditary position. So this position is given to her because of her birth. So, such a country cannot be said to be a republic country. But in India, the head of the state is an elected official, which means that the ultimate political power resides in the people. Okay. Now, this ensures the absence of a privileged class. So, there are no kings in India. Okay, no kings or no aristocrats. They exercise their rule over the common man. The common man will choose who is going to be their leader, and no other family or hereditary legion can do the same for the people. So, all offices are open to all people without discrimination. That means offices such as the office of the prime minister, the office of the president, okay, these offices are open to all citizens of India. So anyone who is a citizen of India can come and try their elective luck in these offices, and if they are selected, they can become the prime minister or the president. The next point which we are going to look about today while we study the preamble is the concept of justice. Now, justice is of three forms which are being provided by the Constitution of India. What are these three? The first is social justice. Social justice, as the term tells us, means that equal treatment of all, irrespective of race, religion, and gender. That means no matter who you are, you will get equal treatment no matter where you come from, that is your race, no matter what your religion is, whether you are a Hindu, a Muslim, a Christian, or a Sikh, or whatever your religion is, you will get equal treatment, and no matter what your gender is, whether you are a male, a female, a transgender, so no matter what your gender is, everybody is guaranteed equal social justice in India. The next form of justice is economic justice. So, economic justice means that there will not be any kind of discrimination on the basis of wealth, income, and prosperity. That means whether you are a rich person or a poor person, in the eyes of the courts, in the eyes of the constitution, every individual is the same. No one is higher or lower because of his wealth or because of how rich he is. So, your richness will not determine how you will be looked upon by the constitution. So, everybody is equal in the eyes of the constitution. The next form of justice is political justice. So, political justice means every citizen of India will have access to all the political offices. Political offices means all those chairs which are occupied after election or through nomination. So, every citizen will have equal rights in occupying these chairs. These means the chairs of the MLAs, the MPs, the ministers, or the chairs of the Prime Minister or President of India. Also, it means that each citizen of India has equal voice in the government. So everyone gets an equal voice to speak for the government. The next concept here is the concept of liberty. So, liberty means the absence of restrictions of activities of humans. This means that human beings should be free to determine their course of life without being subjected to any kind of restrictions by the center state. So, the preamble gives us or guarantees us the following freedoms. The first is the freedom of thought. That means you are free to think and no one can dictate how you should think. So you are free to devise your own thought processes. And after you do, you are also given the freedom of expression. That means you are allowed to express your thoughts and belief systems and make this uh, part of your constitutionally guaranteed right. The next point is belief, that is the liberty of belief, which means that no matter what religion or faith you belong to, the Constitution gives you the liberty of belief, faith, and worship. That means you can choose your own religion or you can choose to be an atheist. That means a person who does not believe in God also. So, whatever is it that you want to be, you can choose that for yourself, and this will not be enforced upon you by the state. So, the state of India does not have an official religion. So that is why each person in India is given the freedom to choose his own religion by himself. The next concept that is given by our preamble is that of equality. Now, equality means the absence of any special privilege to any section of the society. So, here the key term is special privilege to any section of the society. So, no different kind of privilege shall be offered to anyone in India, no matter where they are from, and they will be treated equally before law. This is guaranteed in Article 14, which is part of our fundamental rights, which we shall see later on. So, equality before law means everyone is treated equally before the eyes of the law, and there will not be any kind of discrimination on the basis of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth, which is guaranteed by Article 15, which is another of our fundamental rights. So, the preamble tells us that no person in India shall face any kind of discrimination by the government on the basis of their religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth. Also, there will be a guarantee of equality of opportunity in employment. Now, remember, they are talking of public employment here, not private employment. So, in public employment, Article 16 guarantees to all citizens equality of opportunity, and Article 17 guarantees the abolition of untouchability. That means all citizens will be guaranteed that they shall be protected by Article 17 in the view of untouchability. That untouchability shall be an illegal practice both by state as well as by private individuals. Next is Article 18, which talks of abolition of titles. So, no titles such as the ones that were given by the Britishers, such as Rai Bahadur, Khan Bahadur, all right, Thakur, these kinds of titles will no longer be allowed and they will be abolished. So, other forms of titles are still allowed. These are educational titles such as doctor and other titles which honor the individuals such as Padma Shri, Bharat Ratna, and military titles such as um, one second, yeah, and military titles are allowed, such as Paramveer Chakra, Ashok Chakra, etc. Okay, so those titles are allowed, but other forms of titles which separate and segregate man from man are no longer allowed. The next concept that is given by our preamble is that of fraternity. Now, fraternity is a French word, and this means the harmony and the spirit of common brotherhood irrespective of race or religion. That means what is known as bhaichara in Hindi is fraternity in English. So, fraternity is the spirit of common brotherhood. That means all Indians should look upon each other as brothers and sisters, no matter where they come from and what their religion may be. So, there are two aspects of fraternity that we need to keep in mind while studying for our civil service exams. The first is dignity of the individual. Okay, so what does it mean? Dignity of the individual means that the brotherhood between man to man or man and woman should not hamper the dignity of that individual. So, all individuals, no matter what their race or religion is, should be given dignity. Okay, that means respect. And the second thing is that the integrity of the nation should not be compromised. So, the integrity of the nation means that the nation should stand united, and this is the ultimate purpose of fraternity, that we should not get divided amongst ourselves, and we should always stay united towards our purposes and our goals as a collective nation. So, what is the significance of the preamble? That means, why is the preamble so important? So, the preamble, it gives us political, moral, philosophical values of the constitution. So it tells us what is the political agenda of the constitution. That means what kind of political rights should be provided, what kind of moral ideals should the people follow, and what kind of philosophical values should the people adopt from the constitution. However, we should remember that the preamble is not a source of power to the legislature. That means just by citing the preamble, new laws cannot be formed. New laws should be formed by studying the entire Constitution of India, not just the preamble. And the preamble is not justiciable. What does justiciable means? Justiciable means that anything that you can go to the court for, if it is not provided to you, is justiciable, such as the fundamental rights. So fundamental rights are justiciable. However, preamble is not justiciable. That means these ideals which are given in the preamble, if the government fails to give it to you, you cannot approach the courts for their remedy. Okay, now let us look at a few important cases and how the definition of the importance of the preamble changed over time. So the first is the Berubari Union case. Here the Supreme Court said that the preamble is not a part of the constitution. Okay. Next comes the Keshavananda Bharati case. In the Keshavananda Bharati case, the Supreme Court said that the preamble is a integral part of the constitution. That means it is a very important part of the constitution. Okay, so in both these cases we understand that in the year 1960, when the Berubari Union case came before the Supreme Court of India, Supreme Court gave the opinion that the preamble is not a part of the constitution. However, the Supreme Court is allowed to change its opinion, and in the year 1973 the Supreme Court changed its opinion, and now the Supreme Court in the Keshavananda Bharati case, which is a very very important case, I want you all to read about it. So you can read it in your book, whether you have Lakshmikant or any other book. You can read it online as well. Please read about these two cases, they're very important. So in this case, the Supreme Court said that the preamble is a very important part of the constitution. Now both these cases we shall study in detail in our future classes. Okay, now this uh, preamble was also amended. So the preamble has been amended only once. Okay, what does the word amendment mean? Amendment means changed. Okay, changed by adding or subtracting any word is known as amendment. So the preamble has been changed only once till date. So this was in the year 1976. So in the year 1976, the 42nd amendment of the Constitution was carried out. So in this amendment, three words were added. So what are these three words? The first word that was added is socialist, the second word is secular, and the third is integrity. So as you have seen in the very beginning of today's class, that India has been mentioned to be a socialist secular republic, and that the word integrity was also there. These words came only in the year 1976, but the preamble has come much before that. And till 1976, socialist, secular, and integrity, these three words were not part of the constitution. So the preamble also talks about uh, yeah, so the preamble also talks about the other rights that are to be given to an individual. Okay, so please study those in the preamble, and preamble should be studied not only by understanding the various words, but you have to memorize the whole preamble. Okay, why so? Because UPSC and APSC both have the habit of asking you which word comes before which word. Okay, so you might have to arrange them. So does socialist come before secular, or does integrity come before secular? You should know. So the entire preamble, it is not very long. It is already given in the first page of every NCRT book. So you can read that, you can read it online, and I would advise you to take a copy of it and stick it in your bedroom, okay, where you can read it every day. All right. Now, after the preamble, let us take a brief look at the citizenship aspect of our country. To understand citizenship, first of all, we shall take a look at what is known as aliens. So, aliens, this term means people who are not citizens. That means people who have come from a different country. These are not aliens like in the Hollywood movies where they come from Mars or Jupiter. These are aliens from a different country who have entered India. Now, there are two types of aliens. The first is friendly aliens. So, friendly aliens basically are people from any country with which India is not at war. And then you have enemy aliens. Enemy aliens are those people who are inside the country, but India is in a state of war with those countries. Now, when we talk of citizenship, the rights of citizens are quite different from that of the rights of aliens. So, certain rights are given only to the citizens, while other rights are given both to citizens as well as to aliens. So, the first is the right against discrimination, that is Article 15. So, this is guaranteed to citizens of India. Article 16, that is the right of equality of opportunity, is also something that is given to the citizens of India. This is followed by right to freedom of expression and belief. Okay, that means your Article 19. This is also something that is given to the citizens of India. And cultural and educational rights given in Article 29 and 30 are also rights that are given exclusively to the citizens of India. Right to vote in elections is another right that is given to the citizens of India and not to aliens. And the right to contest elections, that means to stand as a candidate in any election process, is also given only to Indians and not to foreigners. And the eligibility to hold offices of the president, vice president, speaker, all these are also some of the rights that is given exclusively to the citizens of India. Now, how do you become a citizen? Okay, this is what we are talking about here. This is known as acquisition of citizenship. So, how exactly can a person become a citizen of India? So, to become a citizen of India, you can become by birth. That means if you are born in India on or after 26th January 1950 but before 1st July 1987, no matter what your parents' nationality is, you will be regarded as a citizen of India by birth. Okay, so this can be a little complicated, so I want you to pay very close attention to this part of our lesson. Okay, this is the most important part of today's class. So what are we talking about? So by birth, so here, if a person is to be regarded a citizen of India by birth, okay, there are other methods of acquiring citizenship. Now we are talking about by birth. Okay, this is the most important thing. So to be regarded a citizen of India by birth, you have to be born where? Inside India. Okay, inside India. When? Between these two dates, 26 January 1950 and 1st July 1987. If you are born between these two dates, no matter what the nationality of your parents is, okay, no matter whether your parents are Indian or they're American or they're Greek or German or whatever, you will be regarded as a citizen of India. Okay, and if you are born on or after 1st July 1987, now one of your parents has to be a citizen of India. If you are born between these two dates, two, the first point, if you are born between these two dates, now no matter what the citizenship of your parents is, you will be an Indian. But in the second point, if you are born after the 1st of July, if you are born after this date, then one of your parents should be a citizen of India. Okay, but if you are born on or after 3rd December 2004, if you are born after this date, then both your parents must be a citizen of India, or one of them should not be an illegal migrant. That means the second parent may be a foreigner who probably came into India, got married, and then had a child. So in that case as well, the child will be regarded as a citizen of India by birth. Okay, now the next type of citizenship that can be acquired is by descent. So initially we have spoken about citizenship by birth. Now by descent. So to be a citizen by birth, you have to be born inside the country. Okay. But by descent, you will be born outside India and still be an Indian. So how is that done? So if a person is born outside India, on or after 26 Jan 1950 but before 10th December 1992, then he will be regarded as a citizen if his father is a citizen. Okay, so the father has to be a citizen. So if you are born outside India between these two dates, 26 Jan 1950 and 10th December 1992, and if your father is a citizen of India, then you are automatically regarded as a citizen of India by, not by birth, but by descent. Okay, and if you are born outside India after 10th December 1992, then one of your parent has to be a citizen. Okay, before what was said, that your father has to be a citizen, but in this case any one of your parent has to be a citizen of India. And if you are born outside India from 3rd December 2004 onwards, okay, then you your birth has to be registered at a consulate, that means at an embassy or at a Indian consulate within 1 year of your birth. Only then will you be regarded as a citizen of India by descent. So imagine someone who went outside India, and there that lady, she gave birth to a child. Okay, now that child has to be taken to an Indian consulate within 1 year and be registered as a citizen of India. Otherwise that child will not get the citizenship of India by descent. Okay, not by birth, by descent. All right, so we have seen two types. The first was by birth, second by descent. Okay, the other ways you can get it are by registration, naturalization, and by incorporation of territory. Okay, so by registration means any person who is not an Indian citizen. Okay, the person is not an Indian citizen, maybe he is a Pakistani, maybe he is a Sri Lankan or a Malaysian. They can apply for citizenship, and then through this process of registration can become an Indian citizen if the government allows. And by naturalization, Okay, this also we shall look about a little detailed in the next class, but basically the third point says that by incorporation of territory, that means if a new territory is included inside the boundary of India, like for example the state of Sikkim. The state of Sikkim was originally not part of India. Later on, through a understanding between the people of Sikkim and the people of India, the state of Sikkim was included into India. Now, those people who were initially in Sikkim, they became Indians automatically. Okay, so that is also a way of becoming a citizen of India. That is through incorporation of new territory. Now let us see how can you lose citizenship. So you have already seen how citizenship can be acquired. Now we shall see how can it be lost. So first way of losing citizenship is by renunciation. That means you make a declaration that I no longer want to be an Indian. So you make a declaration and your citizenship is given up by you on your own free will. The second way is by termination. Okay, termination is an automatic process. What happens here is that if any person becomes the citizen of any other country, then his Indian citizenship is automatically terminated. Terminated means cancelled. So his Indian citizenship will be automatically cancelled. So this is known as termination of citizenship. Next is by deprivation. So, deprivation means if someone acquires Indian citizenship by fraud, okay, suppose he has given wrong documentations and then applied for citizenship, and later it was found out, then his citizenship will be cancelled by deprivation. Or if any citizen of India shows disloyalty to the constitution, okay, or he trades with the enemy during war, even then his citizenship will be taken away. And if a person is staying outside the country continuously for 7 years, okay, that means within 7 years if a person does not come back to India, then his citizenship will be gone. Okay, so these are the things you have to remember, that a person can lose his citizenship by renunciation, by termination, by deprivation. Okay, in deprivation, a person who is disloyal to the constitution, or he does any kind of business with an enemy during times of war, or he stays outside India continuously for 7 years, then he will lose his citizenship. So there are many Indians who stay outside India. They are known as NRIs, okay, non-residential Indians. But other forms of citizenship rights that are given by the government include that of PIO and OCI. Now, what are they? So, a PIO, the full form is person of Indian origin, and OCI refers to overseas citizen of India. So, a PIO is a foreign citizen but cannot be a citizen of Pakistan, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, China, Iran, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, and Nepal. Okay, they cannot be citizens of these country, any other country, but his one of the parents or grandparents was born or was a permanent resident of India, or maybe one of his, that means his spouse, that means his husband or wife is a citizen of India, then such a person will be regarded as a PIO. What are the benefits they will get? First of all, a PIO card holder does not require a visa to visit India for 15 years from the date of issue of the PIO card. Also, they are exempted from registration at Foreigners Registration Office if they do not stay for more than 180 days. Okay, and if they stay for more than 180 days, then they have to register with the Foreigners Registration Office within the next 30 days. They also enjoy the same rights as NRIs in terms of economic, financial, and educational benefits. We shall see what rights NRIs enjoy in the upcoming classes. And all future benefits for that are given to NRIs will also be given to PIO card holders. In comparison, an OCI is eligible to become is a person who was eligible to become a citizen of India on 26 January 1950. Okay, and such a person gets many benefits such as lifelong visa. They are also exempted from reporting to the police for any length of stay. Here, the PIO, he can stay for 180 days, okay, but the OCI can stay for any length of time. Also, they can invest in properties in India except acquisition of agricultural or plantation properties. These they are not allowed. Other kind of properties they can purchase. So, this is the end of today's lesson. I would request all students to go ahead and visit the chapter on citizenship for more details. And if you have any doubts, please refer back to me on WhatsApp and we shall take it up in our next class, or I shall reply back to you directly on WhatsApp itself. Thank you so much for joining today's class. After today's class, please make sure that you attempt the test which is going to be uploaded. So before you attempt the test, read the chapter on citizenship as well as on the preamble, mostly the preamble from your book. All right. After reading the preamble from your book, then you can go ahead and try the test. Thank you so much for joining today's class. I will see you again in the next class. Have a great day ahead. Jai Hind.